welcome to my e-learning YouTube channels. Today in this video we want to discuss about unit number 5 of mutual fund concept, that is taxation and regulations. So basically in this video we want to discuss about that mutual fund subject unit number last, mutual fund taxations and the rules and regulation as per as per Income Tax Act, and how the mutual fund tax limit is there or tax provision is there in India. So that we has to be discussed in this today's video. So let's discuss about mutual fund taxations. Before moving to the mutual fund taxations, we want to be go through the content. What are the content they are added in unit number 5, that is mutual fund taxation and regulations. So in these videos or in these chapters we want to discuss about mutual fund tax provisions. What are the tax provisions are there, then computing wealth, gross tax, dividend payout, growth option with schemes, then double taxations, setting off and carry forward of losses, then dividend stripping, then capital gain taxation. So these are the contents they are going to be added under that unit number 5, that how that mutual fund taxation is there, their carry forward, their dividend stripping, then capital gain taxations. So this is what related to mutual funds, and to be discuss about how this mutual funds taxation limit is there. Now let's start with that. The first concept, that is when we know about that mutual funds taxations and regulations, we should be understand regarding that how mutual fund taxation regulation will be decided. So basically there are some of the factors where it comes to know that how the mutual fund taxation provisions will be there. So that will be discussed about that factors determine the tax status of mutual fund in specifically India. So how the tax status we are going to be decided. So it is based upon 3 factors. One is your residential status, means as a investors residence status is important. Number second, which kind of fund here going to be invested, either equity or non-equity, and number third, holding periods. So based upon these 3 factors, so mutual fund tax status will be decided. So we'll go for first one, that is residential status. So here residential status may be individual or maybe investor is belongs to India or he belongs to the NRI. Based upon that categories, so your mutual fund tax limit has been decided. If you are belongs to individual or as an investor in within our India, then the tax status will be differs. And if you are there is an NRI of our country, then non-resident of India, then the tax status will be different for as an investor. So when we has to go for mutual fund investment, so as an investor, it is the first factors where the tax limit has been decided based upon, that is either that individual belongs to India or he belongs to NRI. So based upon that 2 factors, that two conditions, that residence status will be decided, the first factors. Next, type of funds. As an investor, where he are going to be invested, is it here going to be invested in equity oriented fund or is it here going to be invested in non-equity oriented funds? So there is a conditions here. So if you are a mutual fund scheme that invests at least 65% of the funds drops into equity, then equity related instruments are known as equity mutual fund. For example, your large cap, mid cap, balanced or sector funds, and non-equity oriented, that is the scheme that is hold less than 65% of the portfolio. For example, liquid, money market, gold, infrastructures, balance, means other than equity oriented funds, what you are going to be invested. So if you are invested equity oriented at least 65%, then it is comes to equity oriented, and less than 65% it will consider as a non-equity oriented fund. So apart from residential status, the investors invest in which kind of funds, so that also decide the tax status. And another important thing, that is how that investor has been hold either equity, either he has going to be invested in equity or maybe in a non-equity funds. So at what periods he is going to be holding? He is going to be holding, that is 1 month, he is holding for 6 months, he is holding for 1 year, 2 years, 3 years. So it is based upon that. So the period of holding is also important, that capital gain on mutual fund could be either long term gain or short term. So depending upon your investment horizon. So either you are going to invest in less than 1 year or more than 1 year, or less than 3 years or more than 3 years. So based upon that holding period also the tax status will be decided in India. So specifically when we has to be calculate the mutual fund taxations, so that has been depend upon, that is your investor individual residential status, investor, what kind of fund here would be invested, and the holding period of investment, so either for short term or long term activity purpose. So these are the three factors basically has to be considered. Now we'll go for in depth how that long term capital gain and short term capital gain tax limit is there, what is the tax structures will be there, or tax status we are going to be considered. Now we'll consider if you make a gain or profit on your investment in equity fund, means you are going to be invested in a long term capital gain, or you are making the profit on investment on equity mutual funds, and that have held over 1 year, means you are purchased today some of the mutual fund units in the year 2019, and you are going to be maybe you are getting that profit, or maybe getting gain, means you are going to be sell that after 1 year or after 2 years, means you are going to purchase 2018 and you are going to sell in 2020, so after 1 year, so whatever the gain will becomes, means after selling of the things, or what are the profit will come from that units, so such kind of things. Or if you make a gain or profit on your investment, that is, see, equity mutual fund, it is limited is 1 year, and if you go for non-equity mutual funds, the scheme should have held cover 3 years, so that has to be covered as a long-term capital gains. That is also very much important. How this long-term capital gain will decided, either equity oriented you can hold more than 1 year, and non-equity oriented you can hold more than 3 years, or at least you should cover 3 years, then it is comes to the long-term category of capital gains. So these are the condition for long-term capital gains. Whereas short-term capital gains, so obviously when you use long term, you are thinking about that equity oriented more than 1 year, and non-equity, that is more than 3 years, then short-term capital gain will be opposite of that, that is holding equity mutual fund scheme that is less than 1 year, and if you withdraw your mutual fund before 1 year, means you are purchased in a January and you are selling in a September or maybe October, or getting a gain or maybe a profit, so that will be considered as a short-term capital gains under equity mutual funds. Then if you are invested in a debt funds, that should be have the less than 36 months, means less than 3 months, less than 3 years, so it will treat it as a short-term capital gains. See, very much important is when we consider equity point of view, the period is 1 year and more than 1 year. So if you are 1 year or less than 1 year short term, more than 1 year long terms. But when you go for debt oriented funds, the limit is different, not is 1 year, it will the limit is having either 36 months or 3 years. So if you less than 36 months or less than 3 years, it becomes short term capital gain of debt fund, and if you are holding more than 3 years or more than 36 months, it becomes debt oriented fund. So this is what the provisions of how that fund has been comes to the category of short term and long term categories. Now we can go for that how the tax rates will be there as per the financial year 2020 and 21 for a resident of India. That is very much important. Already I told you that mutual fund tax status will be decided on 3 factors: on the resident status, holding periods, and the fund where you are going to be investors. Now these structures we are comes to know about that, how these structures will be comes to know about that. See that resident purpose, it is different, and non-resident will be different. So we'll go first resident purpose, where how the tax structures will be there. Now this tax structure purpose, they are going to be considered, this is very much important, that is which kind of fund, that is either equity or non-equity, that is your debt fund. Then holding period, that is for short term and long terms. Now we'll go for equity purpose. As per the financial year 2020-21 in India, if you are the investor as belongs to resident, then if you are going for short term capital gains, means you are holding less than 1 year of equity funds, means you are purchased the mutual fund in a within 1 year and sell on that year only, then he has to get the tax rate, it is 15% should be pay as a tax rates on your equity funds. And if you are going for holding more than 1 year, then you are eligible for, you has to pay, that is more than, that is the tax structure is 10%. This is related to equity funds. Whereas non-equity funds, that like your debt funds, if you are holding for the security non-equity less than 3 years, then the tax limit as per the individual tax slabs of financial year 2021, the tax rate will be decided. There is no specific limit. But if you are holding for long term capital gains, then 20% tax rate with indexation, so means inflation factors also they are going to be added. So these are the tax rates as per the financial year 2020 and 21. If you are holding for less than 1 year for equity, 15%, more than 1 year of equity fund 10%, debt non-equity, that is debt fund that is holding less than 3 years, then as per the tax slabs of financial year 2021 or as per the income tax 20 what the government of India has been decided, that is your financial year 2021, and long term purpose 20% with indexation. So these are the tax rate where we have to consider only for the resident of India. Now how this we are going to be classified? See, this will be classified, see, equity and non-equity, that is for resident of India. So if your equity, that is already I told that the category it belongs to 65%, more than 65 it becomes equity. If you are investing less than 65 it becomes non-equity funds. That is where we have to include about, that is equity oriented mutual funds invested in large capital, large cap, small cap and balanced fund, invested in debt oriented funds. It is holding for less than 1 year, holding for more than 1 year, that is comes 15%, and 3% education cess has to be paid as per the norms of Income Tax Act, and long term purpose, that is 10% has to pay. These are the things we have to be considered, that this academic this financial years, earlier for long term capital gain purpose there is no tax, but this financial year 2021 onwards we has to be invest in mutual fund and long term capital gains, then you has to pay 10% of tax. This is a new tax rate they are added for this financial year 2021. Earlier financial year there is no tax limit is for long term, only for short term it is there for equity oriented mutual funds. Then non-equity oriented purpose, debt oriented, that is 3 years holding and more than 3 years. So if you are holding 3 years, as per tax slab plus 3% of education cess has to be paid for short term purpose, for long term purpose 20% and 3% of education cess with indexation benefit has to be paid. So these are how the categories of you're paying the tax structures if you invest in equity oriented mutual fund and non-equity oriented mutual funds. This is what for the purpose of individual or resident, that is your HUF purpose. Then comes to another important resident status that we have to knowing about, that is for NRI purpose, where has to be considered about how the NRI purpose the capital gain taxation will be there for the financial year, that is non-resident of India. Now here same for holding periods, short term, long terms, fund also equity, non-equity, 15% for short term, equity, long term 10%, same as it is for individual. Then non-equity also same for short term, that is less than 3 years as per tax bracket, and long term capital gains here there is a limit of, that is changes they are made, that is if you are invested in listed funds then it comes 20% with indexations, and unlisted funds 10% without indexation. So these are the changes for long term capital gain purpose non-equity funds for the NRI. Other than other 3 tax bracket will be same as it is where individual tax bracket it is there. So we will go for this in a categories wise how this will be there: equity oriented and non-equity oriented, 15% short term gains, 10% long term capital gains for equity oriented. Non-equity, that is 30% plus 3, that is the non-equity mutual fund for NRI purpose, and long term capital is held more than 3 years, that is for 20% for listed companies, 10% for unlisted companies. Means if you are invested in a debt oriented mutual funds and their listed companies is there, then 20%. If it is there in non-listed things, then it comes 10% plus education side without indexation benefit, here with indexation benefit. So indexation benefit will get only for listed company, unlisted companies indexation benefit will not be get, means their inflation factors will not be covered. So this is what the limit for tax rates as per the resident status for resident and non-resident of India. Then what is indexations? Now when we consider indexation is nothing but let's index your cost of acquisition with inflations, means the inflation factors we can cover. What is the cost of acquisition if invest in a one mutual fund? So what is the values with related to inflation, how that will be considered? So that is you inflate your purchase cost with inflation for the holding period, bring to the present market value, depend upon the type of asset, indexation benefit will be avail. See, the very much important, indexation benefit will be avail for the period of avail after 1 year, not within 1 year, after 1 year or 3 years. So we will get, that is indexation benefit is nothing but it will how the investor has been invested in one particular mutual funds, and there we can get the purchase cost with inflation factors with holding periods. So how that holding period purchase cost has been covered up, that we have to knowing about that is indexations. So how we are going to know, will we know that indexation? See, we'll take an example to understand indexation. If you are invested in amount of rupees 100, at the rate of return will given that is 9%, tenure it is for 3 years, means you are investing 100 rupees for 3 years and the rate of return is given 9%. So after the maturity of 3 years, we will get the amount of rupees 130 rupees. This is there 130 rupees. What is your gross capital gains? Gross capital gain means how much you invested, 100 rupees. How much we get? 130. So 130 minus 100 will get 30 rupees as a capital gains. But on the same times, inflation factor it is there 5%. Now this inflation factors will generate, that is when we are invested 100 rupees, the 5% of the prices has been, that is cost of purchase has been generating, inflation factors has been generating 5%. So how it is going to be covered up? So we should calculate the index cost of acquisition, that is assuming 5% annual inflation rates. So that is on 116, that is 1 plus, that has to be considered your inflation factors, 1, that is 1.0.05 raised to, that is C, that has to be considered regarding that is inflation factors 5% of that things. So we'll get that 116 rupees value your as per the covering of the cost of purchase. Now find out the what is the net capital gain we can get. Actual we can get, that is before that is indexations, where that is without indexation, that we can get 130 rupees, but with cost of acquisitions will get, that is 130 minus 116. So you will get net capital gains after indexation, that is 14 rupees. What is the gross capital gain? 30 rupees. So this is what covering of your cost of indexation, that is inflation factors. After inflation factors, how much exact capital gain we can get? So that is will get the 14 rupees. So this is will be knowing about the indexation factors to know about that in a mutual funds. Then mutual fund taxation rules on dividends. Basically the dividend will be getting for when you have to invest in equity funds, or you will be going for debt funds. So if you are going to the some of the rules it is there. If you are going to be investing in mutual funds on the equity oriented schemes, so in India specifically, if the dividend received on the hands of unit holder of equity mutual fund, it is completely tax free. So there will be no tax for an Indian company. For foreign company there is a tax limit. So dividend is also tax free on the mutual fund house. Then if you invest in dividend, that is in a debt fund, the dividend income received debt fund unit holder is also tax free, but the mutual fund company has to pay. This is very much important. Unit holder will not be pay the tax, but the dividend, that is your mutual fund company has to pay the dividend distribution tax before distributing the tax to the dividend income to the unit holder. That is the limit, it is 28.84%. The tax has to paid by not your investors, it is has to paid by the mutual fund company before declaring the dividend to the unit holders. You has to pay the dividend distribution tax, it is 28.84%. So that you has to be keep in the mind. How this will be considered will be there. How the taxation limit for dividend, if you invest in equity mutual funds, will get that it is completely tax free. No tax will be free. No tax will be considered for as an investor also, and mutual fund house, that is company also, it is tax free. But if you are there in a debt funds, then unit holder does not get that any tax on the dividend distributions, but the company has to be paid dividend distribution tax to the dividend distributions before declaring dividend to the unit holders. That has to be calculated 28.84%. Let's see that how these things will be. The dividend distribution company will be there, that is payable by mutual fund schemes, not by your investors. Now see that how if it is it. If you are invested in equity oriented fund, 65% of the equity of your investment, then either you are individual or NRI, it should be completely tax free. Non-equity, just like money market and liquid schemes, then as a individuals or NRI, individual will get, that is 25% plus 12% surcharge. This is for the purpose of company, not for unit holders. Same things for NRI also, 25% plus 12% plus cess, that is your any cess on that. This is related to will be paid by the mutual funds company, not by unit holders. Sorry, here the individual has to pay 25% and the NRIs has to be considered. So this is what related to non-equity mutual funds. Then infrastructure debt fund, it is there. Then individual has to be pay 25% and NRI, that is 5% plus 12%. So there is a slight rate changes in that your NRIs of infrastructure debt funds to be, this rate has been kept low because to be generate FDI. So government of India has been added, that is 5%, and this is will be related to dividend distribution tax for the purpose of, that is if you are invested in equity, non-equity and infrastructure fund, various category purpose based upon the residential status, and for their investment categories the dividend distribution tax has been paid. Then comes to another important things, that is NRIs mutual fund investment and TDS rates. Basically for a non-resident of India, when you filling the TDS tax deductions sources, then if you are invested in equity, then you are going to be eligible, they has to pay 15%, long term 10%. Then debt fund purpose, we has to pay 30% as a TDS, and for debt fund for long term, that is 20% for listed and 10% for unlisted person. That is the limit for TDS rates has been paid when we has to go for NRIs purpose mutual fund investment on the, as per the category of the equity and debt 15 and 10, 30% for your short term and long term purpose, that is 20 and 10%. Then comes to another important point, that is set off or losses or carry forward, that is any gains under one fund can set off against the loss in another fund. Adjusting of taxable income on the basis of capital loss or gain in mutual fund can be called setting off. Two types of gain or loss, short term and long term, depending upon the tenure of holding asset by the seller. Means any loss arise from short term, it will be it will be set off against short term or it will be set off against long term. But any loss arise from long term, it will be a set up only and only in the long term only, will not be set off to the short term. It will be carry forward for next year for the purpose of only in the long term purpose. Short term losses we can adjust from short term capital gain and long term capital gain, but long term loss we can adjust only and only in a long term capital gain only. If this year long term loss is there, we can arrange in a this year long term capital gain only. If it is not set off, then you can carry forward for next years, and depending upon the tenure of holding of assets, it will decide of set off and losses. Then another important thing, that is securities transaction tax, that is STT. This tax is levied on the value of transactions at how much transaction are done. For mutual fund, it is usually paid by the seller of the units. So the seller will paying the security transaction tax, but there is a conditions how we are going to decide it. Suppose if you have purchased or sell of equity shares, the security transaction tax is 0.1%, and it may be payable as we decided seller, but sometimes it will be purchaser also. Purchase of unit of equity oriented mutual funds, if you are purchase units, there is no selling transaction cost, then purchaser has to pay that activities, but there is no rates will be involved. Then sale of units of equity oriented mutual funds, if you are going to be sell, then you have to pay 0.001% of security transaction things, and it should be payable by seller only. Then sale of equity shares, unit of business trust, unit of equity oriented mutual funds, non-delivery basis, then it is going to be paid by tax rate is 0.025% and is again paid by sellers. Then some other condition, that is sale of options, it is option basis, then when you have to go for options, then you have to pay 0.05, again it is paid by seller. Then if the sale of an option securities where option is exercised, then 0.125% has to be paid by the purchaser. Then sale of future securities, 0.01% paid by seller. Sale of unit of mutual fund to the funds, then 0.001% to the seller. Sale of unlisted person, 0.2% of the security transaction tax. So based upon the transactions, it may be mutual fund schemes, or maybe the units, or maybe options, or maybe exercised options, then future, then other elements. So it has a certain limits, and it should be paid by this. Most of the transaction tax will be paid by the sellers. few are there are the purchasers. Then comes to another important things, dividend stripping. Now here it is attempt to reduce the tax liability by an investor who invests in a securities. Dividend stripping will be arises when tax liability has been reduced by an investor who invests in a security like shares, stocks, debenture, etc. and the units, mutual fund units, shortly before the record of date and getting tax-free dividends, means declaring of that your dividend that is before the record of date or getting a tax-free dividend income existing after the record of date at a price lower than the price at which such securities are purchased at short-term capital loss. Investor get tax-free dividend exempted under section 1034 or 1035 and incur short-term capital loss allowed to be set up and carry forward for the next year. If it is there for short-term capital loss, you can carry forward for next years, or maybe gain is there, you can adjust this year, set off this year, or if it is not set off, then you can carry forward for next year. So dividend stripping, it is considered as an attempt for to reduce the tax liability as an investor who want to be invest in a securities, and that units before the record of date or after the record of date, they want to be adjust on that and to be overcome the short-term capital loss. Then how the conditions to be satisfied to attract dividend strippings. So there is a condition, it is there. So suppose if you are buying or acquiring the shares within a period of 3 months prior to the record dates, means you are purchased within a period of 3 months prior record dates, means declaring of that record dates, the units will be within a period of 3 months prior record to the dates. Then selling or transferring within a period of 3 months after the record dates and within a period of 9 months after the record date for the units, and dividend or income during intervening periods, it is completely exempt on the securities and the unit purpose. So these are the conditions when we has to buy, selling purpose of your mutual fund, or transferring purpose 3 months prior to 3 months after the date, then 3 months of unit purpose, then 9 purpose. Means when you have to invest only securities, there is a different condition. When you have to purchase mutual fund units, there is a different limit, that is 3 months and 9 months. Here it is comes for 3 and 3 months. Any kind of dividend or income for declare, that can be completely exempt for as per the Income Tax Act. Then comes to another important thing, that is what is bonus strippings. Section 94 of subsection 8 of Income Tax Act 1961 deals specifically for bonus stripping. As per the provisions, it provides that the loss, if any, arising to the investment account on purchase or sale of original units shall be ignored for the purpose of computing his total income chargeable to tax subject to the conditions. Means any this will be specifically for the purpose of the provision related to the bonus stripping, section 94. You can understand. Now suppose if there is a loss arises from gain and arises to the investment account or purchase or sale of the original units, will be ignored for the purpose of computing total income chargeable tax subject to the condition. So that kind of things will be considered as a bonus stripping. Means any that investor account or purchase or sell of original units, means when you purchase the original units and there is a loss will be arises, then it will be ignored from charging total income of tax subject to the condition. That time bonus stripping will be considered. Now what are the condition is there for satisfying or attracting bonus strippings? Suppose your purchase original units within a period of 3 months prior record dates, means you are purchased within 3 months of the record dates, then it is considered bonus stripping. Allotment of additional units, means sometimes the company has been declaring the bonus, instead of declaring the bonus they are going to add some of the units to your existing mutual fund units. So without any payment of such record dates, it will be allowed. If you want to be sold or transfer of original unit within 9 months after the record date, will be allowed. Then hold at least one additional bonus unit on the date of such sale or transfer of units, we can get the bonus strippings. Means how this bonus stripping has been satisfied. If you are going to purchase within 3 months prior of original, if you are the company AMC will declare the bonus units within the without any payment of such record dates, then if you are going to be sold out, you can transfer to others within 9 months and hold at least one additional units on the date of such sale or transfer unit will be eligible for bonus stripping. So these are related to the conditions of various limits of your mutual fund taxations, then dividend stripping, bonus stripping, that is we are going to be invested in a set off or carry forward or indexation elements. Now let's will go for the budget 2021 proposal, what related to are mutual fund tax free on taxable, or how the tax condition for this financial year 2021 already we discussed about, but once again we can go for that for the purpose of resident of the things. See that mutual fund capital gain tax limit for the financial year 2021 and academic year, that is 2021 and 22 assessment year 2021 and 22. If you are there as a resident of India, if you are going to be investing in mutual funds in equity and non-equity, equity purpose 15% tax bracket, and for long-term purpose, that is will be added 10%. These are the limits they are going to be added. Earlier this limit is not there. For this financial year, this will be the compulsory, you should pay 10% of the capital gain tax. Now there is a confusion about that, how this 10% they are going to be added. In the budget they are clear about that. If you are already invested, then you are completely exempted. Now onwards, if you are invested in long term, then you are eligible to pay 10%. Whatever existing scheme is there for long term, it is not considered for 10%. It is considered as existing only. So don't be confused about that, how this capital gain will be eligible for 2021. Earlier budget, there is no tax limit, it is there for the long term capital gains. So whatever investment in the last years will be considered, so there is no tax. But if you are starting from financial year 2021 and 21 onwards, if you are investing in a long term, then you are eligible for this 10% activities purpose. This will be the 10%. These are the changes on this financial year. And non-equity as per the individual tax bracket has been there, and 20% with indexation for a non-equity fund for long-term purpose. So these things will be related to the budget 2021 proposal related to how mutual fund taxation will be eligible or has to be tax rates for equity, non-equity, resident. NRI purpose, there is a same limit 15%, 10% as per income tax rate 20%, and 10% for unlisted, 20% for debts, and 10% without indexation benefit on the long-term capital gain exceeding 1 lakh rupees. So there is a conditions how the 10% we are going to be added, that is without indexation benefit is to be considered for long-term. If the gain exceeding 1 lakh means your profit or your gain has been generating more than 1 lakh, then you will be eligible for 10% without indications, without indexations. Within that will be, there is no tax limit. So this is very much important, that it is not going to be considered directly 10%. So this 10% purpose, your gain should be more than 1 lakh, then you are going to pay 10%. If your gain is less than 1 year, then without that is will get has to pay 10% with indexation. If your gain is crossing 10% without indexation, the inflation factors will not cover. Within 1 lakh rupees of gain is there, then you are eligible for paying 10% with inflation factors. And after 1 lakh of gain, you have to pay without indexation, means inflation factors will not consider for more than 1 lakh rupees of gain. Inflation factor will cover less than your 1 lakh rupees of less than 1 lakh is to pay 10%. Both the factors, if your gain is within 1 lakh, then you have to pay 10% with covering inflation factors indexation. If gain is more than 1 lakh, then you are supposed to pay 10% without indexation. So their inflation factors will not going to be covered. So these things related to mutual fund taxation regulation of unit number 5. Then like, comment, subscribe and share for this channels for upcoming videos. Thank you.